Kindly confirm if you can all hear me.
Good evening.
We can, but the volume is a bit low.
Thank you.
Yes,
Is it better now? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the ZSE Annual Investor Night. This year's theme for the World Investor Week is Ringing the Bell for Financial Literacy. This is the first panel discussion we are having, and we hope to have more panel discussions in the coming years. I will start by introducing myself. My name is Maria Chidume. I am from the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. I will also proceed to introduce our panelists for the night. On the panel, we have Love Monyatsine, My apologies for that. I will proceed to introduce our panelists for the day. On our panel, we have Tafara Mtutu, an investment analyst. He's a research analyst. We also have Love Monyatsine, CEO for Via E-Logistics and / Clean City Africa. We have Michael Nyamande, a software developer. And we also have Rumbidzai Sengu, a dealer from Linton Edwards Stockbrokers. If the panelists can please show their faces and probably unmute their mics and greet the audience.
Hi everyone, I'm Michael Nyamande. I'm honored to be part of your panel tonight.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Love Mo, and I'm happy to be here tonight. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Tafara. Thank you, Maria, for having me as part of the panel.
Thank you all for introducing yourselves. Unfortunately, Rumbi has just sent in her apologies. She's having challenges with her mic. Rumbi is from Linton Edwards Stockbrokers, and she'll be also part of the panel.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm still having challenges with my camera, but I'm happy to be part of the discussion. Hoping a very fruitful discussion this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Rumbi. I will give a brief bio on each of our panelists that we have on our panel tonight. I will start by introducing Lovemo Nyatsine. Lovemo is an experienced C-suite executive with a tri-sector breadth as he operates across business, non-profit, and social impact investment sectors. He has a keen interest in building startups, social entrepreneurship, and impact investment. Thank you for joining us tonight, Lovemo.
Thank you very much, Maria.
I will proceed to introduce our second panelist, Michael Nyamande. Michael is a software product manager who is obsessed with how we can use technology to solve societal problems. His portfolio of work includes products in fintech, agri-tech, health tech. Outside of work, Mike blogs and tweets on financial literacy and technology. He is also a retail investor in stock and crypto markets and one of the very first users on ZSE Direct. Thank you, Michael, for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much, Marie. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Tafaram Tutu completed his BCom honors in finance with the University of Cape Town in 2018. Thereafter, he joined Morgan & Co. as an investment analyst. He is currently working towards completing the CFA designation. Tafara is also an advocate for financial literacy through his LinkedIn blog and weekly column in the Zimbabwe Independent newspaper. Thank you for joining us tonight, Tafara.
Thank you, Maria.
Rumbidzai Sengu is a dealer with Linton Edwards Stockbrokers, one of the oldest stockbroking firms in Zimbabwe. And she's a keen and enthusiastic person who loves to see people enhance their investment knowledge and gain financial literacy. Thank you for joining us tonight, Rumbi.
Thank you, Maria.
We have introduced all our panelists and we can see all their faces. I will proceed to the questions that we have tonight for each of the panelists. We'll begin with Michael. He will be the first one. So Michael, the question for you tonight is, as a tech-savvy person and a keen tech enthusiast, how best do you think individuals can be informed, and how best do you think individuals can be informed? The next one would come after this.
All right. So thank you so much for the question, Maria. I hope everyone can hear me fine.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So that's a very great question. And I think I love what the ZSE Direct team is doing. You guys are doing a great job, by the way. So the first thing of making sure that everyone is covered is probably making sure that we cover all the channels. And I love what you did this week because originally you guys launched the web platform. So everyone was using the web platform to invest in the ZSE Direct. But now you offered the mobile app. And I think that's a huge step. Just understanding that not everyone is comfortable with the web. They're offering as many platforms as we can so that everyone can actually take part in investments. Everyone can take part in this financial journey that we're in. I think that's a very great job from the ZSE team. So kudos to you guys. Maybe something that as a tech person that I would like to see more of, an avenue that I would like to see you guys jump into is chatbots, right? Specifically WhatsApp chatbots, because I'm seeing this trend of businesses where instead of saying to the user, the investor, right, come to my website, come to my mobile app, right? We are going where the person is. That's WhatsApp. So there are two reasons to actually probably jump into chatbots, right? One is that everyone is familiar with WhatsApp. My little sister, my 15-year-old sister is familiar with WhatsApp. My 60-year-old grandmother is familiar with WhatsApp, right? And if we're really talking about inclusion and getting everyone involved, we really need to say, how can we, not everyone is familiar with web apps, with websites and mobile applications, right? So how can you actually go to where the person is and make it easier for them to actually invest, right? Then the other thing is with most great technologies, especially in Zim, the limiting factor is the issue of data, because most people always cry for that they don't have data. So you can make the best website ever. For example, your site is very, very good. It's very user-friendly, but a lot of people won't use it because they don't have data. So what our MNOs did in the recent years was they created these social media bundles, and they've had mass adoption. So in as much as a lot of people don't have access to the wider internet, they have access to your WhatsApp, your Facebook, and your social media platforms. So it will probably be a great opportunity to actually target everyone on here, on your WhatsApp or on your Facebook via chatbots. Because I've seen there's actually a growing adoption. You can now buy your airtime using chatbots, buy your ZSE, you pay your bills right on WhatsApp, right? Do your banking on WhatsApp, right? So the next frontier is being able to trade on WhatsApp, and that would be very, very great, right? So I think that covers how to inform everyone on the platform. That is ZSE Direct, right? But in terms of involving everyone in educating them financially, right? That's what we're here to talk about, financial literacy, right? We're looking at ways to use technology. So things like this, like these webinars and seminars, right? Let's make sure that there are spaces where we're educating people digitally, because you no longer need to physically educate someone. Everyone is online now, right? Then another thing which I really want to see more of is when I started investing, I was directed to the ZSE Training Academy, right? Where there's a nice course which covers the basics so anyone doesn't know how to invest, right? So I'd really like to see more of these courses pop up, more blogs. I'm really also excited about the community forming on Twitter that really leverages and shares on financial information. So it's things like that which would help better inform the average person on how they can also start investing. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mike. That was very insightful. Perhaps you've just covered part of my next question to you, which was going to be, how has been your experience so far as an investor gaining information, and probably what advice would you give to someone who's probably considering starting the investment journey or gaining some financial literacy?
All right. So thank you, Alex. So in terms of my experience so far, it's been great. So I actually started, I'm a very young investor. I actually started my investment journey just last year, right? And it's by and large due to the ZSE Direct platform, because I tried it before. I tried it, I think, 2017, 2018, right? I'd gone to see stockbrokers. I saw guys wearing suits, and I was like, probably this isn't for me, right? But with this drive towards digital, where we are putting the investments online, or making sure anyone can sign up, I think that has really done a lot. And just to talk more on this is, I was actually able to convince my mom to start investing, right? So my mom is not really tech savvy, but I was like, Mom, just go into this website, register. And just a few months back, she was calling me excited when she got her first dividends. So in terms of the journey, it's been very, very good. I think you guys have really done a lot towards usability and accessibility, and towards like the greater financial inclusion of everyone. That really does a lot. In terms of my advice to anyone who wants to get started, who isn't started yet, I'll just say start, right? Just get started. Like, people are always they're always saying, no, I'll start when I have enough money. I'll start when I know how to read financial statements, or this is too high, right? And all of these are just misconceptions, right? They are things we're taught to believe. People think you need money to be an investor. You don't. The minimum for investing is just 500 RTGS. That's on the black market. That's about $3 to be an investor. So it's now is the easiest time to be an investor. Anyone can be an investor. There's nothing stopping you guys. People always also think that you need to know how to read financial statements, right? Because if you read the newspaper, when maybe Delta or CBZ publishes their financial results, you see these fancy terms, the EPS, the NAVs, gross profit after this. And a lot of people don't understand that, right? But with the drive towards digital, we're really seeing a lot of websites which come and break that down. I'd like to mention there's the Image and Security website. That's a very good resource. Even the Morgan and Co. application, it has so much knowledge, and it's simplified for the normal person to actually understand. Because I'm not a technical person. I studied computer science. I don't know much about finance or about accounting, but when those guys actually come and just break it down, I really understand. So you don't need a lot of money to be an investor. You don't need to be a technical person to be an investor, right? And then the last thing is probably the risk. People are afraid of risk. They think that if I invest, I'll probably lose all my money, right? So with investing, it's not one of those Ponzi schemes where we tell you, would you give us $100, we'll give you $200 tomorrow. We're not saying that, right? It's more saying that let's invest in companies that we love, companies that we use every day, right? Companies that we believe in, and let's watch them grow. And as those companies grow, you also watch your money grow, right? I'm a big fan of Delta, right? My first investment was in Delta. Delta was $14, and right now Delta is at it should be around 112, right? That's about a 9 times return in the space of a year, because I picked a company that I believed in, and when you invest as that company grows, your money also grows. So to anyone who wants to start investing, I just say you just get started. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you very, very much. I must say I've learned a lot. I'm not a tech-savvy person, but I've also learned a lot. Thank you very much. We're moving on to our second panelist, Tafara Mtutu, a research analyst. Tafara, your question is, as a research analyst and a capital markets enthusiast, what is important for a retail investor to consider when they're investing or planning on investing in stocks and securities?
Okay, thank you, Maria. Before I answer the question, just to let you know, my video, I just might take it off because of network issues and my battery. So please bear with me. And then to answer your question, Maria, there are 2 things that I would like to really bring out to the investor. So the first thing is investors need to have an idea of why they're investing. So there are many reasons why someone would want to get into the capital market. So there are 4 main things that I would really want investors to think about before they start investing. So there are people who invest for the long term. So these are people that are putting in money in the exchange so that they'll take it out maybe 5-10 years down the line, or maybe even invest for their children and their grandchildren. So depending on that investment style, where you're looking in the long term, already that really starts to drive which kind of stocks that you want to look at. So then that's where you start to look at stocks that have been in the on the exchange for a very long time, and they've been established and they have good corporate governance policies. One of them being Delta, which Michael mentioned, and then there's the short term, which is often interchanged with speculation. So this is these are stocks where this is an investment style where people just invest in, and then within a month or 2 months they're already out. And if you're gonna go with that style, then what you need to be looking at is stocks that are heavily exposed in the commodities markets. So you're looking at your Rio Zim and your Bindura Nickel Corporation, and then you're also looking at companies that are in the process of changing management or that are engaged in corporate transactions. So those be companies like your Mikkels, your CBZ. So it's a speculative thing, and depending on how the discussions pan out, investors can actually make a quick buck out of that. And then there's there's a value preservation strategy that some investors consider, where rather than keeping your money in the bank account, you'd rather put it in equities. I mean, people have seen that equities are a good value hedge compared to just keeping your money in the bank account. So as an alternative to other value preservation strategies, other people go into equities to preserve value. And that's where you need to invest in blue chips such as Enscore, Delta, OK Zimbabwe. And then there's the last option, which is passive income. So you want to invest into the stock exchange because you want an extra source of income through dividends. So that's when you start to look at companies that pay dividends either every 6 months or every year. And depending on which company pay or which don't, then you know which stocks you want to move into when you start investing. So these are the 4 main styles that I would say, before you start investing, consider where you are. And depending on where you are, then you can start to see which stocks do you really want to invest in. And then the second thing is really about how much money you want to put in, because that really determines, the kind of stocks that you can actually get into. So ZSE Directors is 2 boards. So the first one allows you to buy stocks in batches of 100. It's a very liquid board in the sense that you can easily move in and out of stocks. So if you take that option of going through the normal board where you buy in batches of 100, the minimum amount that you can put in will sort of depend on on which stocks you want to get into. So if you want to get into a stock like Star Africa, then you need to have at least $170. Or if you want to invest into a stock like Axia, then the minimum amount you need to buy that stock would be 2,700 Zim dollars. Sorry. So depending on which stocks you want, and if you want them very easily, then you need to buy them in batches of 100. So obviously, if you start with $5,000, you can't buy into a stock like National Foods or BAT because on the main board, you can't buy them in batches of 100 at that with that amount. And then if you're really desperate to get into those stocks that you can get in batches of 100, ZSE Direct also has a new option, which is the odd lot, where you can buy stocks that don't have to be in batches of 100. But it's just that the disadvantage with that, there won't be you won't be able to buy in or sell out of shares because there aren't many offers on the other side of the trade, whether you're buying or selling. So those are some of the things that I think investors should consider when they're starting off as retail investors on ZSE.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much, Tafara. I must say I've learned a lot just in this session. My next question would be, you're a research analyst and you are also a ZSE investor. So what advice or what would you say to someone who is yet to start investing or has already been investing but probably stops and is in doubt? What advice would you give?
Okay, so I have 4 points that I'd like to share with everyone. So the first one is research. The last thing you want to do is to make an uninformed decision. So if anything, investors should take away from this is they should read widely in order to invest wisely. Read up on a stock that you want to invest in. Do the research on your own. Do the numbers if you can. If not, then that will take me to the second point. Build relationships with seasoned investors. In the local equity market space. Talk to your brokers. Follow pages or social media pages of people who are active in equity markets, and then just try to stay up to date with whatever is happening. ZSE has a very good website, and every day they post, notifications and announcements from all the companies that are listed on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. So it'll be good for an investor every day in the morning to visit that website, see if there's new information that's been made public, and see if they can, take action based on that information. Sometimes it's a matter of time. So how early you respond or you take in that information can actually save you from losing money on your investment. And then the third thing that I would say investors should, learn about is just to be patient. Rome wasn't built in a day, and the same thing happens with stocks. So you can't expect to invest now and get a return in 2 weeks' time. These are things that take time to unfold. So I'd say have a investment horizon of at least 6 months if you really want to see how good this the equity market can do for you. And then the last thing I would say is to just let you know that returns on the ZSE or any capital market for that matter, they are not guaranteed. So there are some investments where you will lose, but there are also some where you will gain. The difference, or what will make, win more and lose less is how well you do your research and, how much you read into whatever company you're investing in. So I think at the bottom line, it's all about reading and whatever you can't read or understand, incorporate information and insights from investors, from stockbrokers, from anyone in the market with some sort of qualification that helps you make better investment decisions. I think that's all I can give for now.
Thank you very much, Tafara. I'm glad you didn't run out of battery before you finished sharing wisdom. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, Tafara. We are now moving on to our third panelist, Lavmo Nyatsine. So the question, Lavmo, is, as an experienced executive with vast knowledge and experience in different facets of life, what do you believe is the importance of financial literacy? And from your experience as an investor, what are some of the benefits of investing on the stock market?
Sure. Thank you very much, Maria. Once again, a very good evening to everybody online. The first thing that I want to say is it's very important for us to be financially literate for a number of reasons. Because when you're talking about financial literacy, you're basically talking about very simple things. You're talking about your understanding of what you earn, what you spend, what you save, what you invest, and how you protect that investment. That's really the essence of financial literacy. The reality is that what we don't realize, and I see that there are a lot of young people online today, what we don't realize is that in life, there are years when we are earning and spending, but there will also be years when all you'll be doing is you're now in retirement and you need to spend, but you're no longer earning. And it's very important for people to understand the need to be financially literate in the sense of understanding that money has got a personality and money takes after your own personality. If you're wild and free, money will be wild and free. If you're crazy, money will be crazy. If you are quite, frugal with money, money will also be frugal. That's the way money is. If you make money work for you, money will work for you. And that's why it's important for us to be financially literate, because financial literacy also is directly correlated to our ability, even as a nation, for us, to progress, for us to be economically included, to be financially included. I mean, think about the fact that in 2011, there were only 800,000 people in Zimbabwe who were banked. Fast forward 10 years later now, we talk of financial inclusion standing at as many as 8 million people who are now financially included. What it means is a whole lot more people today are financially included, but it also means that they are economically included. There is now economic inclusion. There's a lot more that people can do on their mobile phones, but it takes understanding of financial literacy. Earlier on, Tafara and Michael were speaking about the platform that has been created by ZSE, which is a brilliant platform, by the way. And if you look at the prime methods of payments on that particular platform, there are two, one of which is mobile money, the other one is ZimSwitch. So what it means is if you understand the basics of how money is earned, how money is saved, you are able actually to become an investor on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. Something that was inconceivable, 2-3 years ago. But today, if you are financially literate, you know that I'm actually able to earn money, but I'm able to take this money and put it on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange and actually gain something. So really, Maria, it's important that our people are well educated about money and that they have a good relationship with money in the sense of understanding that money is very fickle. It's a good friend, but it can also be such a bad master. And you need to master money. You need to master your relationship with money. And you need to know that there are years when you'll be earning, but there are years that you'll be spending and not earning. So it's important to invest, which probably brings me to my second part of your question. You asked about, my sense of how do you handle investments on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. So my own personal journey on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange in particular has really been to look at, I'm very futuristic. I'm not speculative. I'm not looking for a quick buck. I'm not looking to make a quick back in out type of thing. I really am looking at an investment that will help me to send my children to college, an investment that will actually help me, when I'm in retirement in terms of dividend income. So my investment philosophy is very, very simple. I don't just go for the penny stocks simply because I'm speculating and saying, oh, if you buy a penny stock today, if it goes up from 1 cent to 2 cents, you have earned 100%. I don't use that philosophy. If you use that philosophy, sometimes you can really get bent and bent badly. So my philosophy is to look at the business in terms of a number of investment points that I look at. First of all, because I'm a long-term investor, I do like the bellwether stocks, the heavy caps, for the simple reason that I look at their cash generating capacity. I look at the historical performance. One of the things that I actually have folders and folders of annual reports, trading updates, as well as all the financials for these organizations, so that I can really have a historical understanding of these businesses. So that's the first thing, because historical performance is usually a predictor of future performance for any stock. So that's number one. Number two, I also look at the business model in terms of the cash generating capacity, particularly in an environment like ours. You definitely want to invest in stocks that have a very clear, solid business model that is not dependent on temporary circumstances, but that really has got a proven, commercial viability and commercial sense beyond or behind that particular business model. So I also look at that. But I also look at the dividend policy, because I'm looking at earning dividend income in terms of my investment objectives. So I look at the ability to pay dividends consistently and over the years, but also the quantum of that particular dividend. For me, that's very important. But the other thing that I also look at, and I think Tafara did allude to it, or Michael earlier on, is the management team that is in that particular business. Because the management team got to be a management that gives you a lot of confidence, that understand the industry that they are in, that understand the dynamics of the economy, that understand their business model and the strategy. So you also want to look at those things before you invest. But again, we are talking about financial literacy in this one thing that we are celebrating this particular year and this particular day. It's very important for us to be able to interpret financial statements so that when you get the results of a business, it's not just about looking at the top line. You got to look at a number of factors. Whenever a company, publishes their financial statements, you got to understand the top line in terms of the revenue growth. You got to understand the profit as well, which is the bottom line. But there are also other indices or performance indices that you need to look at: market share, earnings per share, and things like that. Other indices that are very important for you to understand if your business is in a generally good health state and is a good going concern, and it's a business that you can bank on in terms of investment. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you very much, Lovemo. I don't know where to even start from. Thank you very much for that wealth of information. I will proceed to the next question for you, which would be, what would you say, or what advice would you give to someone who's probably investing or who's thinking of starting their investment journey and is looking for information or probably is in doubt? What advice would you give to them?
A very good question, Maria, there. And I think it's very, very important. And again, I want to speak to the young people that are online. Today, I want to speak to my 20-year-old self. I want to speak to my son, who is 18, who has got his ZSE direct account. And the reason why I opened an account for my son, Sean, who is 18, is because I don't want him to go through the pain that I went through. I want him to learn early. I want him to understand the importance of investing. And I want him to understand that, you can actually determine your destiny as an individual from a prosperity point of view by starting early. So one of the things that I didn't do as consistently as I should have was to start investing early in terms of investing in stocks. When you invest in stocks, there are mainly two things that you gain from there. The first thing that you gain from investing in stocks is the equity growth. So because the business is generating, the business is growing, there is actually equity growth in that particular amount that you invest. That's why we talk of balance sheet growth. So because of that equity growth, if you put $1, because that dollar is going to be invested in that particular business, that dollar is actually helping to grow that particular business. So there is equity growth. So that's one level of capital appreciation or capital accumulation. That's number one. That's the reason why we invest in stocks. So when you put your dollar, rest assured that the business, if it's Insco, if it's Simbisa, if it's Delta, it's Econet, it's Cassava, it's Zimplo, Zimpapers, rest assured that there's capital accumulation on the money that you have invested. That is the primary earning of that particular investment. The second earning of that particular investment is obviously the dividend income, which is really profit share in a sense. So whenever a company at a certain point in the trading period, whether it's half year or whether they have a quarterly dividend policy, when they declare profits, there is actually profit share of sorts, which is called a dividend. So that is the second earning that you actually get from an investment. So it's important to understand that whenever you're investing, your money is going to earn. Secondly, when you look at the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange in particular, I'm privileged that my wife is also an investor, and she does like to invest, and she's very experimental. So she invests both on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, but she also invests on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. And one of the conversations that we've been having was, let's look at the earnings. When you look at, I know we usually talk of the index, the ZSE index, and one of the things that we've been doing is the comparison of the stock market index in Zimbabwe and in Johannesburg and some of the regional stock exchanges. You realize that $1 invested in Zimbabwe probably has earned you 2, 3, 4, 5 times to date since January. So that is the earning capacity. And I'm talking of real earnings, in terms of the returns on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. So there's a lot of value in actually investing in the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. You can never get bent. You can never get, and again, when you're playing a long game, I like the story of Warren Buffett, the founder of Berkshire Hathaway. He's one of the richest men in the world today because, he started investing early. And that's how he has managed to be the richest man in the world, because his philosophy is to play a long game. And he's not a speculator. He's not a punter. He's not looking to make a quick buck, but he's really looking to invest for the long haul. So if you do that, there's no way you can go wrong. I'll tell you, for example, I mean, my own investment, without disclosing the particular counters, my own experience. Yesterday, I earned over $200 on one of my counters. Today, I earned, I think, upwards of 400, 500 US on some of my investments. And I'm talking of an overnight accumulation of what's actually happening on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. And this is real. So I want to encourage the doubters. I want to encourage those who are hesitant, that this is one of the safest havens that you can ever have for your investment. Because let's face it, as long as people are eating your okays, your pick and pays, your Simpisas, your Inscos, your national foods, they will always continue to generate. So you can't actually go wrong. So that's really my encouragement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Love Mo. In Shona, they would say aninzele answer. And thank you very much for those words. I'm sure most of us have taken note. I see a lot of young people. I'm sure we've taken note of that letter to the 20-year-old self. I will proceed to our next panelist, Rumbi.
Thank you, Maria.
So Rumbi, your question is, what are, so maybe coming from one of the older stockbrokers in Zimbabwe, what are the roles of a stockbroker?
Okay, thank you, Maria. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Once again, good evening, investors, and to all stakeholders present. A big thank you to the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange for organizing this very important event, which will empower investors to get more information on their investment journeys, information on all the capital market players, and hopefully will lead to more participation on our capital markets. So going to Maria's question about stockbroking, I'll just give an overview definition of stockbroking before we start. So basically, stockbroking in its simplest form is the buying and selling of financial securities through an agent. Financial securities can include shares, bonds, and in Zimbabwe, shares are the most widely traded. Remember, in Zim, we have three exchanges. That is our Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, and Financial Securities Exchange. Therefore, as brokers, we link investors within those three exchanges that I've just mentioned. Going on to the roles of stockbrokers, I will split those into two. One, it addresses our role to the issuer, which is the listed companies on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, and also our roles to investors, which is our main theme for the night. So a quick one on our roles to our issuers. Mainly as brokers, we act as a bridge between the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange and the listed companies. As part of our sponsoring broker responsibilities mainly, that is for submission of regulatory documents, for corporate actions, be it your mergers, initial public offerings, like your IPO, etc. And also, we also need to remember that the main role of capital markets is to help issuers raise capital. That's normally usually through your IPOs. And this is very important for economic growth. So after the IPO is done, then shares come to the shares. When we see shares trading, that's on the secondary market. That's where we come in as brokers to execute trades for individual, corporate, and institutional clients. Then on the main theme of the night, our roles to investors. So these roles are more or less similar to the ones for the issuers, because we're still the middleman between the investor and the exchange. We work closely with clients to understand their needs, their financial goals, circumstances, so that we provide tailor-made advice at the end of the day to suit client investment goals. Because you can have a situation where you have a young body, like maybe they're 19 and you have an old man. So definitely those two investors will never have the same investment goals. So as brokers, when you approach us, you want to sign up, you want to create an account, we look at all those factors, then we actually give you tailor-made investment advice. Also, we offer research and market updates, where my fellow panelists, Tafara, highlighted on. So mainly this research is on companies that are listed on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. It will help give investors more insight on what will be mostly happening on these companies. But as Tafara highlighted also earlier, you just don't take the research. You also have to do your own homework at the end of the day, because you would find that for the same results, different brokers will have different recommendations. So you also have to do that extra mile as an investor. Then lastly, so maybe someone can ask, okay, then Rumbi, have told me this, so how do I start? For those who haven't started, all you need to do is to open an account with your preferred broker. Then the broker will then go on and create a CSD account for you. Then once all the process of account opening is done, then we'll be able to start trading. So for buying, you may need to pre-fund your account, then we buy. Then if you are selling, maybe you have physical share certificates, they will need to be converted into an electronic form. Then we sell, then your funds will be, you will get your funds after 3 working days, that's T+3. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you very much, Rumbi. Thank you for the information on stockbrokers and what their role is. My next question links to that would be, now that you've told us about stockbrokers and the role that they play to individuals, the investors, in helping them enhance their financial literacy, where can individuals find information if they want to start their investment journey, or if they're already investing? I know you've spoken of research and you've spoken of reading research reports done by stockbrokers, but where can an individual find this information, since we're ringing the bell for financial literacy?
Sure, thank you for that, Maria. Okay, so once an investor, as I mentioned before, once an investor is clear about their investment goals and objectives, well, we then provide them with information such as the latest share prices, trading patterns, and these are usually available through most broker websites and mailing lists. So end of day, we send out to our clients, whether it's website, mailing lists, we issue out all this information so that people will then have, the rest of the day and onto the night to make investment decisions for the next trading day. Actually, investors can actually walk in, they can call anytime, but obviously due to COVID reasons, we are actually encouraging more of the electronic communication for the information. Then also information is everywhere, like especially for the listed companies which have these have information on their websites. You get information on their historic financial results, the background of their operations, dividends paid out, management team experience, just as Lovemo was emphasizing on that one. Future prospects and strategies, you just get a lot. If you just Google Econet, Google Delta, you get a lot on the issuer website. Then also our regulators, if you go on to the ZSE website, just as Michael mentioned, ZSE website, Securities Commission website, you also get a lot of information, be it on the current information of the corporate that you're following. For the market players, you can get the whole list of asset managers, investment advisors, brokers, if you're still trying to get, that broker that you are looking for. Then also information, as I mentioned before, it's we actually issue out information through our analyst reports. This we've mentioned. Then once an investor we have actually traded for an investor, they become a shareholder. So I just wanted to highlight this tonight, that as investors, we should know that we always have the right to information. So you have the right anytime to receive the listed company's financial results. You have the right to attend AGMs. You have the right to receive the dividends that have been declared by the company which you are holding shares for. So just in case you're not getting that, you may freely contact the transfer secretary. We have 3 CorpServe and for the ZSE and ZB and FTS. So you can contact those and get whatever information. Maybe your details were not correctly captured if you're not getting. So you have the right investor. That's all, Maria. Thank you.
Thank you, Rumbi. Thank you very much. Thank you for also sharing the rights of shareholders, the rights of investors, the rights that they have. I'm sure someone was itching to say, what is the benefit? What are my rights if I'm to start investing? Thank you for also covering that. I know we always emphasize an informed investor as a protected investor. Thank you so much to all our 4 panelists, Lovemo, Tafara, Michael and Rumbi, for sharing the wealth of information that we got from them. At this point, I will open up to the floor if there are any questions to the panelists. Brian, I see you have your hand up. Please go first.
Thank you all for a great presentation. My question is directed to Mr. Nyatsine. Firstly, I would like to know what's the best way can I minimize risk when it comes to investing, and is there any like a golden rule when it comes to investing? Yeah.
Brian, that's an important question. I would say that the rule of the thumb when it comes to investing on the stock market, not that there is no risk. I think there's definitely risk, but I think you want to follow the science. And when I say follow the science, what I'm saying is don't jump in because you've heard that there's a bull run and suddenly you buy a particular stock because there's a bull run and that stock is on the upward. If you do that, you get bent. So I think follow the science. And I think at the end, Rumbi also, did emphasize some of the things to think about. Tafara, Michael also earlier on, and I did allude to some of the things that you want to really look at. The trading history of that company is very important because you see, past performance is a good predictor of future performance. The business model, the ability to generate cash is just as important, but also the management team itself and the business strategy and the industry that they're in. So those are some of the facts that help to reduce the risk. So I would say follow the science, Brian.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Nyatsine. But what would you say to someone who wants to invest in ZSE, one of the companies listed under ZSE, considering the fact that how people or how our economy is perceived, like its maximum level of unpredictability also, yeah. What would you say to that type of person or to that person who would want to invest in one of the companies listed under ZSE?
Right, and that's why you go to have an industry sector by sector analysis before you invest. So you've got the financial sector, you've got the mining sector, you've got agro-based companies, you've got commodity companies, like the Rio Tintos, the Bindura Nickel, as Tafara mentioned earlier on. And then you do have some of the conglomerates that we have. My own philosophy, and you might not have to take it, you've got to listen to the brokers. My own philosophy is to look at conglomerates. Insco, for example, it's got a very hedged risky profile when you really think about Insco, because they are conglomerate. And when you look at the Insco business model, there's a lot of cross-selling, upselling, in-selling, down-selling, whatever you can call it. So they've got quite a robust model that is foolproof to some of the vagaries of an economy like ours. So when investing in a stock like Insco, you're not going to go wrong. Delta, for example, again, the business model is very simple, it's very clear. Their product, that people will consume, whether they have money or they have no money, people will consume that kind of product. You look at like Econet, for example, again, solid management, solid business model, very big customer base. So those are businesses that you probably want to consider investing in because of the limited risky profile, I would say.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Natsini, for such a profound response.
Thank you for that question. I'm not sure if we still have any questions from the floor.
There is a question from Tinashe Matembo. I can see here, Maria.
Okay.
Okay, this is Tinashe Matembo. I'm very new to investing on the ZSE. So my question now is, are there any charting systems available maybe for doing technical analysis, or it's all about the numbers and the financial reports? Would I be able maybe to apply technical analysis, maybe on a chart, and maybe use that to make decisions on what should I invest in?
Perhaps I can take that. So there is scope for technical analysis on the equity side of things, but it's very limited in the sense that there are some stocks that are not liquid. And when I say liquid, I mean they don't trade as often. So there isn't much movement for one to actually find a trend that they can use technical analysis on. So there are some stocks which they're quite liquid. So there are stocks that most panelists have been talking about, like your Delta, your Insco, might even add Citco, OK Zimbabwe. So those companies, they move a lot for one to actually be able to, do some technical analysis, your RSI, your MACDs, and all those. But all that said, that the scope is still limited in the sense that there isn't really accessibility to information that allows one to actually build up technical analysis tools for equities on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm just kindly requesting that someone maybe in the chat can just put down the links on some of the platforms, which I can just take a look at them and see the movement and everything. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. I also see another question from Tapiwa Motsi in the chat box. He says, it seems like inflation is rising. What's your take as an investor? Tafara, I don't know if you'd like to take this one.
Sure, Maria, no problem. So in cases where inflation is rising, I really can't give you something definite on why inflation is rising. But what I can say is you can hedge yourself from inflation risk by investing in very liquid and strong counters on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. So what we've noticed is that whenever inflation is going up, the stock exchange usually also goes up in response to that, because the stock exchange is an accepted form of value preservation. In the same way that people run to gold when there's a global recession, it's the same way that people run to stocks whenever there's inflation in Zimbabwe. So if you feel that, or if you expect that inflation is going to continue going up, I would recommend that instead of keeping your money in the bank where it actually loses value by the day, consider going into stocks, blue chip stocks, where you know that there's a very low chance where you actually lose out. In fact, you might actually beat the inflation in some cases, but often it's just a good hedge. So I'd say the best thing you can do for yourself is put your money in equities.
Thank you for that, Tafara. The next question is from Nyasha Daishe, and they are saying, where can one get full financial reports? I will take this one. So the ZSE website has financial reports for all listed companies. If you visit www.zse.co.zw and you click on the listed securities tab, you will see all the listed counters in alphabetical order, and you can pick any one. So if it's A and you want financials for African Sun, you select A and then you go and you click on African Sun. You will get all the information on African Sun, the full financial reports, any cautionary statements issued, all the information pertaining to that particular counter. So I would recommend you to visit the ZSE website, the main website, www.zse.co.zw, to get access to the full financial reports. And then the next question by Mandy was probably directed to Rumbi to say, what is the range of stockbroker fees that we can expect to encounter? But I will also take this one on behalf of Rumbi. So I'm sure most of you have heard from all the panelists that the ZSE has a web-based platform and a mobile application that enables retail investors to actually have their own CSD account and access the stock market. So Rumbi, on ZSE Direct and to other potential investors on this call, with just a minimum of 500 RTGS, you can start your investment journey on ZSE Direct. So you can visit www.zsedirect.co.zw or visit Google Play Store and search for the ZSE Direct mobile application. ZSE Direct, because the minimum initial investment is 500 RTGS, you will be the one. So it gives the investor independence to be able to place orders by themselves, but it also gives you access. So it acts as a pathway between investors and stockbrokers. So when you actually complete the registration process, you're required to select a broker of your choice. So here, this eliminates, I think, that process of having to go from one broker to the next to ask for their minimum requirements. So I think you can first try out ZSE Direct and you can register and select any broker of your choice. And with just 500 ZWL, you can start investing on the stock market. I hope I've answered your question, Mandy.
Hi, Maria. If I could just add in, maybe also just explain the costs, the trade, things like commission and levies and things like that. Maybe I think they would also appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Tafara, for that addition. So I see the next question is more or less linked to the previous one. It's from Leonard, and he's saying, if an investor wants to get help understanding the stock exchange, financial statements, and which companies to invest in, where can they get help in crafting a portfolio, and how much do we expect to pay for the training? Leonard, I will take this question. So to get an understanding and an appreciation of capital markets, we have a website or a training institute. To access this, you have to visit www.zsetraining.co.zw. we have a free course, an Investment 101 course that you can register for free. It will give you a basic understanding and appreciation of capital markets as you go through the course content. And then this will also help you understand the stock exchange. If you also go and find your way around the Training Institute, there are quite a number of tutorial videos that will also help you gain an understanding of the stock market, of the stock exchange. And it will also lead you to our YouTube channel and other various sources of information. So where you'd like to get an understanding of financial statements and companies to invest in, I think this is where the role of a stockbroker comes in. You get information from your stockbroker, you go and ask for advice from your stockbroker. And in addition to the information as highlighted by all our panelists, that in addition to the information that you get from your stockbroker, you also have to do your research. Tafara alluded to visiting the ZSE website to gain more insights on the latest information. Michael mentioned the need to so Michael also mentioned the need to be part of social groups on social media and part of social conversations where these kind of conversations of financial statements, investing are also happening. And also Lavmo mentioned the need to actually look at the dividend policy and all other information pertaining to that particular counter. So I think there's a lot that you can do. You can do your own research. You can visit any of the stockbrokers and they can help you.
Okay, Maria, just to come in there as well. So once, as I mentioned before, once you've contacted us, we are very available, take in any questions, and we are always more than willing to offer our advice to the client anytime. And I wanted to just answer that question from Tatenda Bondo about, he's asking about the effect of volatility in exchange rates towards stock market. And I'll say that it's actually linked to the inflation question that was asked earlier on, as we know that in Zimbabwe, prices track the exchange rates. So as an investor, I would say you just keep on investing in equities, because historically, we've always seen a positive correlation between equities and the inflation. So you sort of never go wrong. You just keep on investing, because at the end of the day, the stock market will also reprice to track the inflation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rumbi, for that contribution. There are no more questions in the chat box. I would like to take this moment to just thank all our 4 panelists. Thank you, Lovemore. Thank you, Tafara. Thank you, Michael. And thank you, Rumbi, for the insightful conversation that we've just had. If you can drop your contact details, should anyone want to contact you, you can just type them in the chat box, because I see others looking for more information and how they can contact you. So feel free to also leave your contact details in the chat box. And this brings us to the end of our panel discussion. And I would like to wish all present in this meeting a happy customer service week. And thank you for your continued support, as well as a happy World Investors Week. Thank you very much for helping us to ring this bell for financial literacy in Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, and have a good night.
Thanks, Maria. Thanks, everyone.